There's a number that tells you when to stop dating and settle down. It's 37%, and the fact that this number even exists should bother you a little. Because think about what it's claiming. It's claiming there's a right answer to the most human question there is. How do you know when you've found the one? When do you stop looking and just commit?
The one?
Let me tell you about a mathematician who took this completely seriously. His name is Michael Trick. As a young man, he figured love was just a math problem he hadn't solved yet. So he solved it. He worked out the optimal age to stop searching and propose. The answer came out to 26. So when Trick turned 26 and met a woman better than anyone he dated, he didn't agonize. He ran the numbers and he proposed. She said no. Hold on to that. We'll come back to it. Because Trick wasn't crazy. The math was real. He just learned the hard way what the math actually promises and what it doesn't. Here's the problem every one of us is actually facing. You can't see the future. You don't get to line up every possible partner, every apartment, every job offer, side by side, and pick the best. They come at you one at a time, and each one forces the same brutal choice: commit now and close every other door, or walk away and maybe lose the best thing you'll ever find. Say yes too soon, and you'll always wonder who was around the next corner. Hold out too long, and you watch the good ones go, one by one, while you wait for something better that never shows. The one that got away, or the stone left unturned. Pick your regret. This feels like pure chaos. It isn't. Mathematicians have a name for it: an optimal stopping problem. And the surprising part is which question actually matters. It's not which option you pick.
When?
It's when you stop looking. The cleanest version is called the secretary problem. Imagine you're hiring and you interview people one at a time. You can rank anyone against the people you've already met. You know who's better, but you can't score them out of 100, and here's the cruel part. The moment you pass on someone, they're gone forever. No going back. So how do you give yourself the best shot at hiring the single best person in the whole stack? There are two ways to blow it. You can stop too early and miss the brilliant person you never got to. Or you can stop too late, holding out for someone better who simply doesn't exist. The whole game is walking that tightrope. Lean too far either way, and you fall. And the answer's a rule so simple, it almost feels like cheating. It's called look, then leap. You take a fixed chunk of your search, the first 37%, and during that stretch, you commit to no one. Doesn't matter how good they are. You're not shopping yet. You're calibrating. Leave the checkbook at home. You're just learning what good even looks like for you. Then the moment that window closes, you flip a switch. From there on, you leap at the very first person who's better than everyone you saw in that first 37%. That's it. Look at a third. Then grab the next one who beats the best of that third. And that first third you lose? Not wasted. It's the only way you build a standard. You can't know a good thing when you see it if you got nothing to compare it to. That's where Trick's 26 came from. A dating window of 18 to 40, take 37%, and you land right around 26. Look until then leap. He played it perfectly. And she still said no. Which brings us to the part that stings. Because here's what the math will not promise you. Even when you play it flawlessly, by the textbook, you only win about 37% of the time. The other 63%, you don't end up with the single best person out there. Most of the time, even doing everything right, you fall short. Sit with that if you've ever framed love as finding the one. The best possible strategy in the universe fails you almost 2 times out of 3. But here's the part I actually love. Look closer at that number, 37%. Where have we seen that before? It's the same number as the looking phase. The amount you should look and your odds of winning are mathematically the same value. And here's the kicker. It barely moves. Whether you're choosing between 100 options or a million, your odds of grabbing the best stay right around 37%. Think about how strange that is. If you were just guessing in a pool of a million, your odds would be 1 in a million. With this rule, still about 1 in 3. So the bigger and scarier your search gets, the more this rule is worth. You're never going to reliably find the single needle. But this is your best defense against the haystack, no matter how big it grows. And notice what that means. Holding out forever doesn't save you. Looking too long is just the other way to fall off the rope. Now, the clean version assumes a clean world, and real life keeps changing the rules on you. So the real skill was never memorizing 37%. It's knowing which question to ask about the search you're actually in. So ask the first one. Can you go back? What if the people you passed on might still take you? Then the math says, relax, look longer, closer to 61% of your search, because a rejection isn't fatal anymore. The astronomer Johannes Kepler lived this exact version. He courted 11 women, agonized for years, kept circling back. He nearly drove himself mad with what he called his own restlessness. But the math says his restlessness wasn't a character flaw. When you're allowed second chances, taking your time is the optimal move. He eventually went back to woman number 5. They had 6 kids and a famously happy marriage. Then ask a harder one. Can you actually score your options? Not just rank them, but know that this one's in the 95th percentile? Then everything changes. You don't need a looking phase at all. You just set a bar before you start and take the first thing that clears it. This is how you sell a house. You don't look at offers to calibrate. You know what the market's worth, you pick your number, and you take the first offer that beats it. And with that much information, your success rate jumps from 37 to almost 60%. There's an uncomfortable lesson buried in there, by the way. A search with clear, objective standards beats a search for a fuzzy feeling. Gold digging, mathematically, works better than a quest for love. And that house example hides one more rule worth tattooing on your brain. Once you've set your threshold, never lower it just because you've been waiting a while. The time you've already spent searching, that's gone. It's a sunk cost. If an offer wasn't good enough last month, it isn't good enough now just because you're tired. Don't compromise. Don't second guess. Don't look back. And then the last one, the one that bites. Are you pushing your luck? Because the flip side of when to commit is knowing when to quit while you're ahead. There's a version called the burglar problem. Every job pays off, but each one carries a chance you get caught and lose everything. The answer's beautifully simple. The number of times you should push your luck is roughly your chance of success divided by your chance of failure. Pull off each heist 90% of the time, stop after about 9. The richest man in Russia, Boris Berezovsky, literally wrote the book on this problem. He just never applied it to his own life. He didn't stop, and he lost everything. So do we actually do any of this? We've studied how people behave in these situations in the lab for decades, and we have one consistent flaw. We stop too early. More than 4/5 of the time, people leap before they should. We're impatient. We grab the first thing that feels good enough, and we tell ourselves it was fate. Which is why I think this number is secretly a kind of gift. We started with something that sounded terrifying, a cold formula for the warmest decision in your life. But flip it around. 37% was never a promise that you'll win. It can't promise that. You'll fall short most of the time no matter what. What it actually gives you is permission. Permission to spend the early part of any search just looking, with no guilt. Because that's not failure. That's how you learn what you want. And permission to stop, to leap, to accept that there is no certainty coming, that there was never going to be, and to choose anyway. Michael Trick got rejected at 26. You know what he did? He kept living by the rule. Years later in another country, he met someone, knew she cleared the bar, and leapt again. They got married. The math never promised him the one. It just told him when to stop waiting for a guarantee that was never coming and go live his life.